us.
Why are you doing this?
It's business.
Hey comic fans, welcome back to the channel. If you're a comics enthusiast or just getting into the world of weird and wild superheroes, you're going to love today's video. We're diving into Creature Commandos, a team of monstrous heroes that blend the supernatural with the military, all within the world of comics. So let's start. What is Creature Commandos? The Creature Commandos are a fictional DC Comics team of military superhumans originally set in World War II. The original team was introduced in Weird War Tales number 93 in November 1980, created by J.M. DeMatteis and Pat Broderick. The team was composed of a human team leader, a werewolf, a vampire, Frankenstein's monster, and a Gorgon. Project M for Monster, is a secret government organization that began during World War II and specialized in experimental biotechnology and necromancy, a joint effort of the United States Armed Forces. Lieutenant Matthew Shreve of US Army Intelligence revealed Project M was born of research into the subconscious archetypes and the military's attempt to scientifically recreate the symbols of fright and horror that all humans share. Known creations of the project beside the Creature Commandos include Miss America and G.I. Robot. The project's main scientist is Professor Mazursky. He was aided by Robert Crane. As told in Young All-Stars number 12, they operated from a secret underground complex on the mythical Ferris Island in New York. The Creature Commandos meet the team and its key members. In 1942, Project M created the Creature Commandos. They were Lieutenant Matthew Shreve, a normal human. Lieutenant Matthew Shreve is an American soldier involved with Project M. He is the leader of the Creature Commandos, an elite combat unit composed of soldiers with monster-like features. Unlike the soldiers under his command, he is a normal human with no supernatural powers. In the new 52 reboot, the Creature Commandos are agents of Shade, and Shreve is instead just a normal soldier during World War II. His position as leader of the Commandos is filled by Frankenstein. Matthew Shreve was created by J.M. DeMatteis and Pat Broderick, first appearing in Weird War Tales number 93, 1980. Warren Griffith, a werewolf. Warren Griffith was an Oklahoma farm boy who was determined 4F by the US military. As Warren also suffers from lycanthropy, he was recruited for Project M, where a team of specially selected scientists and medical men managed to manifest his condition physically. This gave him the ability to change into a werewolf, which at first was unstable, as he would change back and forth uncontrollably, a vampire. Very little is known about Vincent Velcro's life before he volunteered for Project M, or the reasons behind his 30-year sentence in an army brig. What is clear, however, is that he offered himself up for an experiment that would change him forever. After volunteering for a 6-month mission, Velcro was injected with a mysterious compound made from experimental chemicals and the blood of a New Mexican vampire bat. The transformation was brutal, leaving him with the appearance of a vampire, a thirst for blood, and the ability to shift into a human-sized bat. Fathered Elliot Lucky Taylor, a Frankenstein monster. Elliot Taylor was a good-hearted Marine private who was nicknamed Lucky. Lucky was stationed on an island in the Pacific Ocean during World War II when he stepped on a landmine. Surgeons from Project M spent weeks putting him back together, albeit not the way he was originally constructed. This gave Taylor the appearance of Frankenstein's monster with increased size and great strength, but with the inability to speak. He, alongside the others changed by Project M, became the part of the military unit known as the Creature Commandos, led by US Army Intelligence Officer Lieutenant Matthew Shreve, a sentient but monstrous man-beast possessing inhuman strength, stamina, and durability, and Dr. Myrna Rhodes, a Gorgon, also known as Dr. Medusa. Myrna Rhodes was a medical doctor working at the government facility responsible or creating the Creature Commandos. When the Commandos' commanding officer, Lieutenant Shreve, was badly injured in battle, he was brought to her for treatment. Even as badly wounded as he was, Shreve still kept up his stream of cruel insults against his subordinates. Myrna stepped in and defended them against his insults. The Commandos were actually rooting for Shreve to be scarred for life so he'd look like a freak, like what he always told them they were. Myrna was able to completely reconstruct his face though, and make him look just as normal as he always had. He, of course, took the opportunity to pile on more insults against the Commandos. The Commandos Commandos, feeling desperate, asked Myrna if she could use her skills as a plastic surgeon to help them, and she had to tell them that she was unable to. That was the last straw, and it had them fumbling and stumbling out of the room in their despair. Concerned, Myra chased after them to tell them that Shrive wasn't right, that they were people just like anyone else, and that they shouldn't be ashamed. In their haste, though, the Commandos knocked over a cart of experimental chemicals, and Myrna got covered with them. She was rushed away by the medical staff, and, when she woke up, she found herself with snakes growing from her head instead of hair, so that she looked just like the Medusa of Greek myth. Because of her new appearance, no one would let her be their doctor, so she lost her job. Seeing no other course of action, she offered to join up with the Creature Commandos unit as Dr. Medusa. Creature Commandos were deemed America's most effective secret weapons when they were dispatched to Nazi-occupied France in spring of 1942. The Creature Commandos' first mission was nothing short of legendary. They were sent to obliterate a centuries-old French castle that the Germans had seized and turned into a sinister stronghold for their twisted experiments. Inside, the Commandos slaughtered Hitler's deadliest elite soldiers and thwarted a chilling plot to replace the world's most powerful leaders with Nazi android duplicates, including President Franklin D. Roosevelt, General Dwight D. Eisenhower, Prime Minister Winston Churchill, and even Joseph Stalin. The goal: to install them as puppets of the Third Reich. Lieutenant Shrive, leading the squad through the chaos, continued to direct the Creature Commandos as America's most grotesque secret weapon in Weird War Tales number 97. Their next mission: in Weird War Tales number 110, the Creature Commandos are thrust into a dangerous mission that takes them deep behind enemy lines. Their objective is to rescue a top French scientist who has been captured by the Germans. This scientist holds critical knowledge that could turn the tide of the war in favor of the Allies. However, as the Commandos soon discover, things are never as simple as they seem. Upon infiltrating the enemy's stronghold, the team realizes they've walked right into a trap. The rescue mission is nothing more than a bait to lure the Creature Commandos into an ambush. The Germans, knowing the team's reputation and monstrous capabilities, have prepared a deadly surprise, hoping to eliminate this group of superpowered misfits once and for all. The issue sees the Commandos face off against overwhelming odds, battling both the elite Nazi soldiers and the advanced weaponry set to destroy them. What follows is a thrilling sequence of survival, where the Creature Commandos' unique abilities are put to the test in the heart of enemy territory. In Weird War Tales number 110, the Commandos gained a new member, Dr. Myrna Rhodes, the Army's chief plastic surgeon. The team unintentionally exposed her to a mix of experimental chemicals, a procedure that had previously turned their men into horrific monsters. When the chemicals reacted with her own biology, they transformed her into something out of myth, a gorgon with writhing snakes in place of hair, much like Medusa. In Weird War Tales number 111, the Creature Commandos face one of their most unusual and dangerous missions yet. The story begins with the Commandos, now an even more formidable team, continuing their covert operations against the Nazis. This time, however, they find themselves partnered with a very unconventional ally, the GI robot known as Jake, Jungle Automatic Killer Experimental. Jake is a mechanical, war-ready robot, the successor to the original GI robot Joe, and it is brought in to lend its superior firepower and advanced technology to the mission. Upon infiltrating the enemy's stronghold, the team realizes they've walked right into a trap. The task at hand is to infiltrate a heavily fortified German research facility where the Nazis are working on secret weaponry, weapons that could shift the course of the war in their favor. The Commandos are sent to sabotage the research and ensure that these weapons never make it into Nazi hands. As they embark on this perilous mission, the team encounters not only human soldiers, but also grotesque experiments that the Germans have been conducting with twisted creatures and terrifying abominations lurking in the shadows. The Creature Commandos, each struggling with their own monstrous natures, must fight their way through these horrors while trying to stay focused on their primary objective. What makes this issue particularly compelling is the chemistry between the Commandos and the GI robot. Despite being artificial, Jake has a quirky mechanical personality that creates an interesting dynamic with the more emotionally complex and often tragic human, monstrous members of the team. The interaction between the two sides, human, monster, and machine, machine brings a new layer to the story, adding both tension and humor. Their final mission came in Weird War Tales number 124. The Creature Commandos embark on their final mission, a high-stakes operation that would serve as both their swan song and the explosive conclusion to their saga in the series. The mission itself is as daring as it is desperate. The Commandos are tasked with boarding an ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missile, that has been loaded with a nuclear warhead. The missile is aimed at Berlin, the heart of Nazi Germany, and the goal is to deliver a devastating strike on Hitler's inner circle. The mission begins with the Commandos infiltrating a military facility where they're briefed on the task at hand. Their objective: to board the missile and ensure its launch goes according to plan. However, the journey is far from straightforward. The team must navigate numerous obstacles, including enemy soldiers, hazardous conditions, and internal conflict, as their monstrous nature and past trauma weigh heavily on them. As the Creature Commandos make their way to the ICBM, they face physical and emotional challenges. Their grotesque powers, which have been both a blessing and a curse, are put to the ultimate test. They must work together, overcoming personal demons and mistrust to complete their mission. Along the way, each member reflects on their transformation from ordinary soldiers to grotesque creatures and the sacrifices they've made for the war effort. However, things take a tragic turn. After the Commandos board the missile and prepare for launch, a critical malfunction occurs. Instead of heading toward Berlin, the missile veers off course and launches into space, carrying the Creature Commandos with it. As the war continues to rage on below, the team finds themselves stranded in the unknown, lost in the vastness of space, leaving behind only their bloody legacy. A modern iteration of Project M makes its debut in DC Studios' Creature Commandos, the first series set within the new DC universe. Executive produced and written by James Gunn, this 7-episode adult animated series picks up right after the events of the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. In this new chapter, Amanda Waller, voiced by Viola Davis, forms Project M after Congress disbands Task Force X, her original team of misfit soldiers. To lead this new task force, Waller recruits Rick Flag Sr., played by Frank Grillo, who assembles a team of incarcerated monsters for high-stakes, top-secret missions too dangerous for ordinary humans. The new team includes The Bride, Indira Varma, Frankenstein, David Harbour, Nina Mazursky, Zoe Chow, Dr. Phosphorus, Alan Tudyk, and a roster of oddball characters like G.I. Robot and Weasel, both voiced by Sean Gunn. In our next video, we'll dive deep into this new version of the Creature Commandos, exploring their backstories, powers, and how they fit into the new DC universe. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on our detailed breakdown of the team and their adventures in this thrilling animated series. See you soon!